Good evening. I'm Tony Carvajal. Thank you so much for being here for the 2024 Silver Stars Award celebration. It's another evening among the stars, and we've got them all out today. I see so many, not only this year's recipients, but past year recipients. We've got elected officials. We've got leadership from the city and the county. It's going to be a great night. And welcome. Thank you for looking so great. This event is brought to you each year, as you know, by the Tallahassee Senior Center and Capital Health Plan. On behalf of each of them, and on behalf of the Senior Center and the Foundation, we are so glad that you are here. We've been doing this for 22 years. Silver Stars have defied the stereotypes that after the age of 60, we become less active. Since 2001, 185 individuals have been recognized as Silver Stars. They inspire us to join a cause, to develop a new skill, and to make a difference. They motivate us to stay positive, active, and continue to grow and do and give so much. Silver Stars enrich our lives and are examples of how much our community benefits from this generation and every generation. The first Silver Stars were recognized, by the way, in 2001 as part of the Active Living Expo held at the Tallahassee Community College, which now we all got to get ready to say Tallahassee State College, right? And we got to practice that later, right? The event transitioned to the auditorium at the Tallahassee Senior Center for 4 years. How many of you were there for that event? I was there. I know Anna Johnson, Sheila was there. Absolutely, Sheila was there. Sheila, did we scare everybody else away? I don't know, it's just you and me. Huh? Well, it was tight. It was wonderful. It was a great event, but we quickly outgrew that space, as you know. And in 2008, Capital Health Plan stepped up to claim the presenting sponsor role and provided the initial support needed to move here to our new home, the Dunlap Champions Club here at the University Center Club. Thank you so much for doing that, Capital Health Plan. Thank you so much for all the sponsors that have made this possible. But I particularly want to thank the Silver Stars for making this event so relevant and important. Silver Stars span our community as veterans and artists, musicians, social workers, doctors, nurses, authors, dancers, community volunteers, and leaders. There are a few past Silver Stars Award winner, as I mentioned, in the room here tonight. And if you don't mind, would you stand as I call your name, or just stand now so I can start recognizing you, and hopefully I'll catch everybody. But from our first year, I know in 2001, Dawn Rapp. And in 2017, Emily Millett and Fred H. Williams, Dr. Fred Williams. In 2018, E. Ann Claire and Nancy Goddard. 2021, Marjorie Turnbull and Colonel Washington J. Sanchez Jr. And from 2023, Jill Sandler and Frida Travis. Thank you all so much for joining us and for continuing your example. In just a few moments, we'll meet our 2024 Silver Star honorees. But first, we need to recognize our dignitaries who have taken the time to be here this evening, and I know a few are still on their way. They mentioned that this is a very busy evening, but all of them wanted to end here. So thank you so much for coming. I know Representative Allison Tant, Florida House of Representatives, is a good friend of ours. Thank you so much, Allison, for joining us. Mayor John Daly, who you'll hear from in just a few moments, and he brought dignitary his mom here, so thank you so much. You know I love her. Mayor Pro Tem Curtis Richardson, thank you so much, Curtis. City Commissioner Diane Williams-Cox, I know that she's one of those that's on her way here. Leon County Commissioner Carolyn Cummings. I saw my friend Leon County Property Appraiser Akin Akinyemi. Thank you, Akin. Treasurer Clerk Jim Cook. Thank you, Jim. And Jim, thanks for having the easiest name to say. I appreciate that. Makes it so much easier. So they put it right after Akin just in case I really messed up. So thank you. Deputy City Manager Cynthia Barber. Assistant City Managers Karen Jamonsville and Wayne Tedder. Director of Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Affairs, Ashley Edwards. She always brings her fan club. And Assistant Director Venus Childs, thank you so much for being here. All right, we're going to get this evening started with a welcome from our mayor. Mayor Daley, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate everything that you do, your leadership, and the grace that you show. We're not old enough to be on this stage for the other awards, but we soon will. So, Mayor, I turn the stage over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Daley. I am the proud mayor of the great city of Tallahassee. First of all, how about a round of applause for Dr. Tony Carvajal, year after year, serving as our master of ceremonies. Tony, you do a wonderful job. We certainly do appreciate it. And I appreciate you recognizing my colleagues and the other dignitaries that are here as well. I know you'll hear from the Mayor Pro Tem in just a second. But ladies and gentlemen, I do have to take a point of personal privilege to introduce the power of the Daley family, the matriarch of the Daley family, my mother, my date this evening, Sarah Ann Daley, up here at the head table. I love you, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for everything. I also want to take a second and recognize the city of Tallahassee. Folks, we live in the great city, and our senior leadership all the way down to the frontline workers are absolutely phenomenal. Do not forget that we have a storm event that's coming through this evening. And while we are here celebrating, having a great time, we've got men and women all over this city that are preparing for anything that may come tonight. And I just want you to take a second and also recognize the hard work that they're doing, starting with our city management all the way down. We appreciate it. But in particular for this evening, there is one lady I also want to point out, and that's our dear old Sheila Sawyer, who does an absolutely... Sheila, please stand. I cannot thank you, Ashley Edwards, everyone for Senior Services and Parks and Recreation for everything that you do for us here at the City of Tallahassee. Tonight is a great night. Tonight we are going to honor the next class of awardees, and I was looking at the honorees, and it's just a humbling experience to be here with you, and I know that you feel the same way. And as we're sitting here and we're celebrating, I also want to take a second to remind you that what makes Tallahassee so great are the residents, each and every one of you. And tonight represents our leaders, our true leaders that give back to this community. And that's what truly defines us. When individuals rise to the top, they set the example, and they truly give back. And it makes Tallahassee a wonderful place to live. And in closing, let me just remind you, this is a great time to be in Tallahassee. I mean, it's our bicentennial. We have a lot of celebration that's going on right now. But at the same time, when you think about it, just last week, we tossed dirt in the ceremony to begin construction on the second senior center here in Tallahassee. The week before that, we broke ground on the new Southside Transit Center here in Tallahassee. Coming up in a few weeks, yes. Coming up in a few weeks, we'll be breaking ground on the new police station in Tallahassee. And folks, I want you to remember that in the past year alone, our community has been recognized out of 17,000 municipalities as one of the top 20 cities to live, work, and play. We have the #1 public utility in the nation right here at the City of Tallahassee. And I'm sure you saw the news earlier this week that one of the leading experts in the economic development field, they just named Tallahassee the strongest economy of any local community in the United States of America. We have a lot to celebrate, and we bring it all back down to the wonderful residents and the leaders that we have here tonight. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I join you in celebrating. Greetings on behalf of the City of Tallahassee. Without further ado, it is my honor and privilege to introduce my dear friend, the Mayor Pro Tem. We call him the Dean of the City Commission. He is the longest serving currently. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. Wow, everybody got quiet. What did I do? Is it the good looks or? It is an absolute pleasure to be here once again. I've tried to make every one of these events since I've been on the commission. As the mayor said, they call me the Dean of the City Commission because I've served the longest and am the oldest on the commission. And despite my youthful looks, in just a few months, I will turn 68 years old, y'all. This event showcases the epitome of active aging. While the honorees' interests and backgrounds vary, they share a profound dedication to others, from providing tax assistance to preserving our history. Ms. Altamise Barnes will be recognized. The 2024 Silver Stars give back in big ways. And I'm so proud to have a personal relationship with so many of them, starting with Virginia Glass. Virginia and I go way back in this community, and she has been a tremendous volunteer, helping those who are in need in so many ways. Reverend Holmes, who has been a leader in this community, the pastor of Bethel Baptist Church for the last 38 years, and I can't even begin to enumerate the number of ways that he has contributed to making Tallahassee be the all-America city that she has twice been designated, and for looking out for the best interests of those, again, who are also in need. And then, of course, I mentioned Ms. Altamise Barnes. Altamise and I worked together at the State Department of Education under then Commissioner of Education Betty Castor. And I've watched her over the years in how she's evolved and gotten involved in preserving the history of African Americans, not only here in Tallahassee, but throughout the state of Florida. So Altamise, thank you for that as well. While 8 individuals are being honored tonight, they are not alone in reshaping the expectation of seniors. Today's seniors are highly diverse in their interest, eager to continue learning, interested in meaningful community engagement, and seeking opportunities to stay active. They also account for the fastest growing segment of our population. I'm proud to be a part of that group as well. Because of this, the need for senior programming has never been higher. And as the mayor mentioned, we just broke ground on what is going to be a state-of-the-art senior center to keep those seniors like myself active and engaged in our community. I'd like to say thank you to the staff and volunteers of the Tallahassee Senior Center and the foundation for the immense amount of work that they put in every day to provide exceptional service and programming. You've put together and organized a tremendous event here tonight, one that we all can be proud of. We also recognize the quality of life that we are increasing for so many people on a daily basis through our programs here at the Senior Center. To the honorees, congratulations. I'm proud to be and grateful to be celebrating here with you tonight, and thank you all for joining us in this momentous occasion. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the evening.
Well, it's good to be here with you tonight. My name is Art Myers, and it's probably important that I should introduce myself since you may not recognize me from my time at WCTV. I have grown a beard. I have lost some weight. But then I plumped back up again after getting scorched in the sun in Panama City this past weekend, okay? And such a sunburn, as you can probably see, that my face just swelled up, you know, and it was kind of crazy. And so now my new nickname is Puff Daddy. So that's what they're calling me now. I'm sorry. Anyway, it is good to be back emceeing my second Silver Stars event. I'm representing Capital Health Plan, a Galaxy and presenting sponsor of Silver Stars, and they also have the best little giveaway things, don't they? If you've ever been to any other events that they help sponsor, they have great things like those fans that you have there on your table. And also, I remember I got another one earlier from them at another event, which was one of those things that's it's like a flashlight that charges itself when you use your thumb. You know, you just kind of do that. So they have the very best gifts. It's a great event tonight for for CHP to actually champion, and champion is the right word for these seniors who have done more in their 60s and their 70s and their 80s and their 90s than most of us will accomplish in our whole lifetime. So let's give them all a big hand tonight. How inspirational, I tell you what, just to see, you know, I recently retired about a year and a half, 2 years ago actually now, and what an inspirational thing to see people who are so far beyond that, still so much engaged in their communities, some of them still working, you know, in their careers all the way up to close to 100 years old. So what a great example they are setting for all of us, that's for sure. All right, I'd like to get you ready now to introduce you to the 2024 Silver Stars and their interviewees who are fourth grade students, as we heard from Amelia Moore's fourth grade class at Cornerstone Learning Community. As usual, one of the highlights of the event will be the video interviews that each student conducted with their Silver Star. So let's get started if we can. Each of their mini biographies, by the way, is included in your program. If you want some more details, an entire book could probably be written about all that they have accomplished and are continuing to accomplish. Thanks to Jameson Red and the Cornerstone Learning Community students, you will get to know each other, each one better through the video interviews that we are just about to show. So let's meet the Silver Stars, all right? The very first one up for tonight, let's give a big hand of applause to Dr. Mike Francis. All right, Dr. Mike Francis, and there he is right there, and Dr. Francis, the self-proclaimed mayor of Whataburger, okay? Dr. Francis retired from an exciting career in 2002, and as you, Dr. Francis, make your way up to the front here, be real careful because there's not a lot of room between tables. But if you could make your way up to the front here along with your student, if that student that interviewed you is here tonight, they need to come up with you, okay? So let's give him a hand as he comes up, and let's also find out how he has kept himself busy for the past 22 years. We direct you to the screens.
Dr. Mike, what was your childhood like?
Born in 1946, I'm 78. Was born in Tallahassee, but raised in St. Petersburg, Florida. And had a great childhood, had a lot of fun. My greatest adventure was fishing in Tampa Bay with my younger brother, one of my younger brothers, and a water spout came up, a tornado over water, picked us up and threw us ashore. And we lived through it, and we made the front page of the St. Pete Times. So that's one of my better stories.
What was school like for you?
School was good. Of course, I went to a Catholic grade school and high school. We had nuns for teachers, and they would walk around with a ruler and slap your hand if you weren't paying attention. But I had a great education. I have to admit that I was pretty well covered and ready for college. At least the education part was. I wasn't ready for the college social life. I got a doctorate in public administration, and I was a public administrator. I worked for the state of Florida, and I was a senior administrator. That's why people call me Doc. And besides, I don't want to be called Mr. because when I used to come home from school, if I heard Mr. Francis, I knew I was in trouble.
Dr. Mike, who was your role model when you were a kid?
My role model when I was a kid was my father, and still is, by the way. He struggled in his early life being raised in Pennsylvania, but he made something of himself. He was a builder and contractor. I still look back and think about things he's told me and what to do. And if you pay attention to him, you tend to survive.
Dr. Mike, what gets you excited about stamp collecting?
About stamp collecting, I've been collecting stamps for 74 years. My dad started me when I was 4 years old, helping him collect stamps. What got really excited when I traveled around the world, because I'd been around the whole world 23 times. And we stopped at countries, and I went to the post offices and bought stamps. But I really enjoyed looking for certain kind of stamps, not because of the value, but because of the topics, snakes on stamps. That's topical collecting. And that's the biggest thing in the stamp club here that we meet in the senior center once a month, is people who collect topics.
Dr. Mike, what do you do to stay active?
My active life has been, of course, I work for state government, retired from state government. Love to travel. I've taken my granddaughter and my grandson on separate trips all around the United States. We get in a car and go to visit every state.
Dr. Mike, what do you want to do next in life?
Next in life, well, at my age, I'm learning how to be an old person.
Dr. Mike, what was it like working for NASA and the Apollo program?
The Apollo program was fabulous. It was pioneering. They planned to go to the moon. And we were ground support crews. We flew around the world to handle communications in case the astronauts came back from the moon, because they didn't know. They were still learning what they were going to do. Landed somewhere there wasn't any communications facility or satellite wasn't available. And I was assigned, there was eight of us airplanes with crew members, handled all the electronics, and we supported NASA. So we were assigned to NASA while I was in the Air Force.
What's your favorite memory about the Apollo astronauts?
Without saying what I'm not supposed to say, they saw things and heard more than noises. The only thing I can say about it is we're not alone.
That's awesome. All right, before we back on, okay. Before we let them leave the podium here, what is your name, young man?
Wilder Graves.
All right. I think it's safe to say this little guy stole the show, don't you? Just about. Good job on your interview there. All right.
Thank you.
Let's give them one last hand as they head back to the table. Thank you. Good job. All right, fantastic. You gotta love that, tell you what. All right, thank you. All right, just as they go back to their seats, he is a lover of sci-fi movies. Perhaps Dr. Mike had a secret gig, maybe writing for the X-Files. It could be, I mean, we never know. Another secret talent he possesses, according to his sister-in-law, Brenda, she says, quote, "The man can fix anything. If you don't believe me, just ask him." But seriously, he can fix anything from electric wiring to computers. And he will be taking names down as you leave. If you have certain items you want fixed, he will come to your house and he will do that. All right. Brenda shared that Mike's talents are multiple. He had a contractor's license, a radio license. He built his own first TV and console. He never met a stranger, and he took in stray dogs and kids all his life. So how about that? All right, well, celebrating his talents this evening are daughter Lisa, his granddaughter Ashley, brother Charlie, his wife Brenda, as well as several dear friends. So, Dr. Francis, you have our stamp of approval, okay? We're the stamp collector there, so there's your family. All right, fantastic. Love that. All right, next up is Althemes Pemberton Barnes. All right, Althemes is right in front of us right here. And she's going to be interviewed by Nairobi Bryant, okay? So Althemes was born and raised in Leon County. Let's hear about the many contributions that Althemes has made in our community. Take a look.
Miss Altemes, what was it like receiving a master's degree and a bachelor's degree from FAMU?
Receiving the bachelor's degree in music, I was a piano and voice major, and the master's degree later in guidance and counseling was very exciting for me because it was a part of my training coming up through my parents that education was very important, and they wanted to see that all 9 of us received the terminal degrees. My parents, of course, were from Lynn County, Tallahassee. They did not get the benefit of a college education. They both had to leave school in order to attend to the farm and the family.
Do you have any pets or animals?
My family was not a family of cats, dogs. During that time, our livelihood was focused on helping with the garden, helping gather the eggs that the chickens laid. So we had enough going on. One of the young men in the community did come to the house one day with his dog. So my uncle said, well, son, what does your dog do? And so the young man looked at him kind of strange. He said, well, you know, we play around now. He said, yeah, but what does he do? And so my uncle looked at my dad. He said, you don't want anything around you unless they can contribute something.
Tell me about when you co-chaired the Smoky Hollow Project.
The Smoky Hollow Project is one of those projects that I hold dear to my heart. And I think along with what I did with Greenwood Cemetery and Saving the Riley House, the Smoky Hollow Project ranks very high among those. There were over 80 families living in Smoky Hollow. The community had been demolished in order to build the first state building, Department of Transportation, and then later Cascades Park. However, nothing was being said about what it once was and the very thriving community that it was.
Miss Altemes, what was the best piece of advice you got as a child?
The best piece of advice I got, though sometimes I would resist, they always called me the rebellious one in a way, but it was the education piece. I wanted it, but I also saw my friends sometimes doing things that I wanted to do. I could not go to a movie, for instance. I did not until I got married.
What was it like receiving the Greater Chamber of Commerce Lifetime Achievement Award?
The highest award from the Chamber of Commerce, I was in class 16. There's a program they call Leadership Tallahassee. It was a great event, and I cherished that award. And coming from the Chamber of Commerce, I felt really honored and humbled to have been chosen for that. In addition to the Chamber Award, was one that I received just last year from the Oasis Center for Women and Girls. That was the Lifetime Achiever Award. 2 years ago, I received the Daughters of the American Revolution Medal of Distinction, and there have been many, many other awards along the way.
Can you share some old sayings that you heard in your life?
Some of the old sayings that I grew up with, they used to say sometimes, empty wagon makes a lot of noise. Don't worry about the mule being blind, just pull the line. The mule would know when it got to the country trail to turn off, and they would just get in the wagon and say, go home, mule.
Oh my goodness, I'll tell you what. Althemes, let me turn this back on for you. Actually, it is on, okay. I have to say that Althemes and I have a connection. We did a story together years ago about a certain slave cemetery in Tallahassee, and you met me there along with, who was it, your mom? Your mom, and we did a whole story on that, and it was just so amazing, and it was just so wonderful to get to know you and your mom as well. So you did a great job on that, that's for sure. Well, Nairobi, thank you very much for interviewing this lady. What was the most fun thing about it?
The most fun thing about it would have to be the asking the questions and like getting the answers and knowing new things about her.
Was she kind of an inspiring figure to you? When you were listening, did you feel like, I need to do something like that, or I'd like to be like that?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Well, I'll tell you what, you did a great job on your interview, so maybe you got a career in TV. I don't know, we'll see. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for coming up. Let's give them a big hand. As they make their way back to their table, Althemies has made another favorite old saying, faith only knows success. And what a success she has been, in addition to mentoring dozens of young folks during her years as the executive director at the John G. Riley House. She launched local artist Lester Richardson's career, quite an artist, when she commissioned him to paint several works for the Riley House. Althemies did not slow down after retirement. Each year she lobbies the Florida legislature on behalf of the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network to support all statewide Black history museums. Still doing that. Her efforts brought in $800,000 over the past 2 years. What have you been doing over the last 2 years? She's been doing that. City of Tallahassee recognized her commitment to preserving her hometown's history when they honored her with the creation of the Althemies Pemberton Barnes Park at Smoky Hollow back in 2021. Here with her this evening is her husband, all right, and that's Calvin. Calvin, there you are right there, sitting next to her. All right, and also her sister Mary and several close friends as well. Thank you, Althemies, for all that you've done to preserve the history of African Americans in Leon County and across the state. All right, we appreciate it. Okay, all right, who's up next? I'm thinking Rocky Beavis. Where's Rocky? Okay. There he is. All right, Rocky, as he makes his way forward, was actually interviewed by Wyatt Simpson. And Wyatt's going to come up as well. There's Wyatt making his way to the podium here. They say the secret to success is to find a calling, not a career. Let's see how Rocky answered that calling.
Mr. Beavis, how has your hometown of Tallahassee influenced you throughout the years?
Wyatt, when I grew up here, raised here, we were still a small little town. You had to go out to West Tennessee Street to get a McDonald's hamburger or a pizza. Most of my influence came from Leon High School. I graduated in 1968, and we were really the only big public high school in town. So I got to know and got to go to school and got to be friends with a cross-section of the community. We had our 55th reunion, I think, last year, but they're long-lasting friendships.
In what ways do you support the Tallahassee community?
I just wrote a check to the Marzook Shrine Temple and left it at the front desk for Boston Butts. I mean, you know, that doesn't sound like much, but the Marzook Shrine Temple does an awful lot of good in our community and our state. I served on the board at Big Bend Hospice for 22 years. My years at hospice was very, very rewarding. Served on the board at TMH for 15 years. I like to think that we leave our fingerprints all over town. All the things that the community has done for me and my family, it's now time to pay that back.
What inspired you to go into the funeral business?
My daddy was in the funeral business. At one time, he was the youngest funeral home owner in Florida. We lived above the funeral home. I would make my mama get me dressed and put me in a little white suit and tie, and I'd go downstairs and help Daddy. And I have 2 sisters and a brother. They're all younger than me. If I had a pet, a goldfish, for instance, if I had a goldfish that died, I'd get a little matchbox and I'd put him in his casket, and we'd go out in the yard and I'd dig a little hole to bury him, and I conducted a great number of pet funerals. And of course, that's just part of being raised in a funeral home.
How did a historical event that you lived through influence you?
Probably the year 1968. We were right in the middle of the Vietnam War. Woke up one morning and found out Senator Robert Kennedy had been shot. Dr. King was killed. It was a life-altering year.
What's the most important lesson you learned when you were a kid?
Well, what I appreciate most in my experience in my business is life itself. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, make the most of it. Listen to your parents. You'll look back 50 years from now and say, darn, she was right.
What are you proudest of in your life?
Oh, that's the easy one. 2 kids and 6 grandkids. Their mama was a teacher for 34 years. Thankfully, she took care of the academics. I took care of the hunting and fishing. But yeah, my 2 kids and my 6 grandchildren we're very proud of all of them.
What do you still want to accomplish?
I guess if I could do anything, I'd climb Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa.
Yeah, I tell you, Rocky just told me that Wyatt's a better dresser than he is. So, and I think better dresser than I am too, as a matter of fact. Oh, you guys did great. Now, Wyatt, let me ask you a quick question here. What was your favorite part of your interview with Rocky?
Probably asking the questions and seeing them answered and getting to watch the video.
Yeah? It's a lot of fun. Would you live above a funeral home?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good for you. All right. Could be lonely up there. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming up. We appreciate it. Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you, Wyatt. Good job, buddy. Good job. Very good. Well, funeral directors understand life is a series of highs and lows, and it's no wonder that climbing the highest mountain in Africa is on his bucket list. I certainly hope he accomplishes that one. Rocky has always been fascinated by American presidents, evident in the library at the Beavis Funeral Home, where there are hundreds of books and photos of our nation's leaders. His co-worker Caroline Ray, who nominated him for this honor, recognizes his leadership skills at work and in the community. She says, if you know Mr. Beavis, you are very, very fortunate because there is no one more deserving than he. And it's interesting when a coworker says that about you, you know. I mean, they know you better than anybody usually. And if they say that about you, that's a quality character right there. Beavis Funeral Home states that they prefer to think of death as a time of reflection, appreciation, and even celebration. Rocky, we prefer to do that now with you in our presence, okay? Do that right now, many years to come. With Rocky this evening, take a look at the table over there, his wife, Patty, and several of his colleagues at Beavis Funeral Home. So let's give him one more round of applause. Okay, we have 32 more to go, guys, so just get I'm kidding. We don't have that many. I'm not bored, though. I tell you what, I love all these things, you know, and the way the kids kind of bring out the questions, too. All right, next up is Virginia Glass. All right, Virginia Glass so far has gotten the best applause in the room. I don't know what that means, but, you know, she's up there. She actually is going to be interviewed by a very interesting name, which I'm going to try to pronounce. Javi Diaz de Villegas. How'd I do? Did I do sort of okay?
You'll have to ask him.
Did I do okay in pronouncing your name? I should not ask. Okay. That's a no. Okay. All right. Well, I tell you what, she made her mark, Virginia, on the Tallahassee community as the grand dame of real estate, as we heard a little earlier. Let's see what's cooking with Virginia since she retired.
Where did you grow up and what was it like?
I grew up in Mayo, Florida, which is a small town about 80 miles from here, and I was one of 6 siblings. We worked whatever we had to do to make the crops grow. We grew peanuts and tobacco and cotton, and the hardest job I ever had was cotton. I did not like picking cotton.
Can you tell me about cooking on the farm?
Oh, cooking was much more fun. My mom would leave me a recipe at the house for me to use when I was cooking for a family of 8. And I learned to cook, and as a result, I fell in love with cooking, and I still like to cook today. So that was an unexpected blessing that I had.
Why did you want to leave the town of Mayo?
Mayo is a wonderful place to go as a child, but it has very few opportunities, and I wanted to explore what might be. So that was why I wanted to leave home and see what else was out there. Because we grew up as very poor people. We didn't have television or radios or anything, so I was anxious to see what else might be out there for me.
Miss Virginia, what do you do to stay active?
I stay active by serving on 5 different nonprofit boards. And I also have a group called 100 Women Who Care, which is not really a nonprofit, but we meet 4 times a year and support nonprofits in our community. And that becomes another job because there's so much paperwork behind the scenes that I have to take care of. And I don't have an assistant anymore, so I am the assistant now.
What charities are you currently trying to help?
I currently work with what I call my happy nonprofit, which is Choose Tallahassee. And that's a group that tells the good news about Tallahassee. So we encourage people from other areas to come to Tallahassee. But the other boards that I serve on is I work with Joseph House, which works with guys coming out of incarceration. I work with Good News Outreach. I work with Good Samaritan Network, all of whom work with that population. But one of my rewarding nonprofits is Tallahassee Memorial Foundation. I've been a trustee there for 30 years and thoroughly enjoy what we do at the hospital.
Why is charity work important to you?
Because I feel, but for the grace of God go I. And because I have been blessed with the means to help these nonprofits, it's very important for me to be a part of giving them a hand up so that they can become successful people in their community.
Miss Virginia, can you tell me about your family?
My current family consists of 2 wonderful daughters, 5 grandchildren, and 11 great-grands.
What advice do you have for kids my age?
Be aware of those around you. Be sensitive to the needs of other kids that may not be as blessed as you are, because some of the children who come to school may not even have a mom at home to help them with homework. So if we can be sensitive to helping those as children, then we become very productive adults as we grow up.
What is your favorite thing about cooking?
Getting to share it with friends and family. To me, cooking is one way of showing love. I just love it. I'm always trying new recipes to see which one I like best, and I often try it out on my friends who are willing to come and be my guinea pig.
All right, that was great. I love that. You guys did a fantastic job on that interview. Virginia, I've got to ask you a question here. Is it possible for you to cook that pecan pie that you had the recipe for up there? Did you?
I could probably do that for you.
You could do that. We will be your guinea pigs, right? My wife and I is over there. We both love pecan pie, that's for sure. Well, Javi, let me ask you a question now. I saw your face when you heard her say, "We grew up without television," right? Okay. Speaking of the mic here, what was your reaction when you realized she grew up without television? What was your reaction?
I'm like, what?
I think we saw your reaction. All right. What will you remember most about your interview with her?
Probably when I first met her during the interview. And yeah, we had a lot of time to talk to each other.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, you did a great job on the interview, so thank you very much. All right, Virginia, thank you for coming up and congratulations. As she heads back to her seat, a small-town girl with big ambitions. That's what she was. Virginia went from the unpleasant task of picking cotton, as we heard, to the honorable task of picking nonprofits to support currently. I cannot believe all the nonprofits that she is involved in, and what would we do without folks like that in our community who are willing to step up and spend their personal time to support those kind of things. So it's pretty amazing. Nigel Allen of Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, who has worked closely with her at both Big Bend Hospice and TMH, says Virginia is a huge blessing to this community and everyone who knows her. She was named Philanthropist of the Year by the Association of Fundraising Professionals, Big Bend Chapter 2019. In 2021, she gifted TMH with a golf cart to transport patients receiving chemotherapy from the Cancer Center to the main hospital, so she has done that as well. She continues to provide unexpected blessings to her adopted city of Tallahassee. And Virginia, thank you so much for being a woman who cares. We are fortunate that you chose Tallahassee. So, all right, one more round of applause for her. All right, guys, is everybody hanging in there? Yeah, okay, very good. Very good, just a few more to go, and the next person we have up is Jack Peoples. All right, Jack Peoples, right over here. And Jack, if you would, along with the person who interviewed you, Serafina Friedman, a little easier than the name we had last, but we appreciate that. Okay, Jack Peoples told us he was not sure if he met the criteria for the Silver Stars Awards. Let's see what you think about that. Let's take a look at the video.
Mr. Jack, what was your childhood like?
Well, I'm 93 years old, so it started 93 years ago. I grew up in Miami, Florida. My father was the United States Marshal there, and Miami is very in the tropics. So I started swimming very early, and when I was very young, a famous Olympic swimmer saw me in a swimming pool and went over to my mother and said, he's going to be a good swimmer, I'd like to teach him. So she started coaching me, so I swam in high school and college, and swimming became a big part of my life.
Mr. Jack, what was your favorite subject in school?
Early in life, I became fascinated by the life of Christopher Columbus, the discoverer of America. So I started collecting books, reading about him, and I read about him and collected books. I finally had so many books that I had to give a bunch of them to the library. I still have about 50 or 60 volumes. And when I have memory problems now at 93, the doctor tells me if you didn't know so much about Columbus in your brain, you would probably have a little better memory.
Mr. Jack, what was your favorite job?
One of my favorite jobs was being a soldier. The second best job I ever had was when I was very young. I was 28 years old. Governor Collins appointed me to his cabinet, and I served for 2 years on his cabinet. And he went around the country bragging that I was the youngest statewide official in the United States. I don't know whether that was true or not. Just before I was ready to enter law school, the Korean War broke out. I went to Korea. Before I went to Korea, I went to jump school to become a paratrooper. I became a platoon leader of the 3rd Platoon of King Company and the Wolfhound Regiment, probably the most famous fighting regiment in the American Army. And while I was there, I was wounded a couple of times, and I got a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star for valor.
Mr. Jack, how have you been involved in your community?
My grandfather, when I was about your age, taught me that we owed an obligation in life to take whatever skills we had and apply them to help other people. So early on, I developed this idea that I needed to be able to help other people out and do things to help generally. When I started practicing law here in Tallahassee, I got involved in every community activity that you can imagine. The main thing was the homeless issue. I was general counsel, senior counsel to Governor Childs.
Mr. Jack, when did you retire from your career?
Well, I didn't retire, Seraphina. In fact, I haven't even slowed down. And if anything, I've sped up a little bit. I'm still practicing law, very actively, enjoying it, and continue to do my community work.
Mr. Jack, tell me about your aviation career. Were you ever afraid?
When I was very young, I had an uncle who was an aviator. He had an air show. So when I was 17 years old, I was sent over to him to learn how to fly. Neither my father nor my mother were afraid of anything, nothing. They knew nothing about fear. And so that's how I decided to jump out of airplanes and fly airplanes and fight in wars and do all the things that are dangerous, because I was constantly confronting fear. I felt like it was an obligation for me to overcome fear.
All right, fantastic. I tell you what, and just when you think it's, that we've finished, and then we got the aviation career, and then we got, it's amazing what you've done, sir. So congratulations. And still going, still practicing laws. That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, this young lady interviewed you. How did she do?
Oh, she did great. She did fabulous.
Well, I noticed there was one part in there where your jaw just about dropped out. And what part was that amazed you, Jim? You want to speak into the mic here? What amazed you about that part?
That he was a stunt pilot.
Yeah, yeah. So would you be brave enough to jump out of a plane like that? No. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, we'll stay a little closer to the ground. Well, you guys did fantastic, and thank you so much for coming up, and congratulations to you. Well, good job on the interview. Thank you. All right. As you can see, if working for two Florida governors does not make one a good candidate, then certainly Jack's focus on environmental conservation in Florida does. Ask him about helping Sofia Vergara with her career. Okay, you might really want to ask him about that. There's even a Jack Peoples Day on February the 7th, so if that's not enough. Jack's son Grant, okay, we have their table over here and a lot of the family. Jack's son Grant describes his dad as a, quote, delightful twirler of tales, okay, and the man by whom I measure men. So how about that? You don't get a higher compliment than that, that's for sure. Joining Jack this evening is son Wynn, his grandson Jordan, his great-granddaughter Sadie, his sweetheart Susan, and several friends. Jack has not slowed down in his 9th decade. In addition to practicing law, he stays active with a personal trainer who tries to keep up with him, apparently, and playing with his dog Lily. So just keep swimming, Jack, and all those other activities, and we'll see you next year. All right. All right, one last final hand of applause for Jack. All right. Okay, coming up next, Dr. Marie Cowart. Where are you, Dr. Marie Cowart? There she is, right there. All right, and she was interviewed by Shepard Morgan, so if Shepard can come forward as well. We'll get them up here. One could argue that being the director of the Pepper Institute on Aging and Public Policy gave Dr. Cowart an advantage to aging successfully. You might think that. Well, maybe the video will confirm it. Let's see.
Miss Marie, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I never gave it a great deal of thought. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and we live right downtown. And I had pretty much free run of our neighborhood, which meant I played in the alleys and learned to play marbles with all the guys. And my grandmother lived with us. And this is, I think, probably why I really got interested in old people.
What was it like in nursing school?
A girlfriend of mine said, Marie, I need a roommate. Do you want to go to nursing school with me? And I said, yes. In the mornings, we had to be at the hospital right next door at 6:45. And sometimes we'd get dressed in our nursing uniforms before we went to bed. And we'd lay there in bed really quiet so we wouldn't wrinkle our starched nursing outfits. And then after 2 years, I decided that I needed to get an education. So I went to Gainesville.
Tell me about your career as a nurse.
So I taught nursing for 22 years. And then one day there was an opportunity. I became dean of the College of Social Science. And that was really fun because we could shape things and start things. And I could be a nurse and support the faculty. I once had a nursing director tell me, Marie, if you take care of the nurses will take care of the patients. So I thought, Marie, if you take care of the faculty will take care of the students. So that was sort of my philosophy of leadership.
Was there anything unusual about working at FSU?
Well, one of the neat things about the college, my father had raised me because my mother died when I was young, and I had a brother. And then when I got married, we had 2 sons. So I had always lived with and associated with men. And the interesting thing about the college is there were 110 faculty and 9 were women.
Tell me about your family, please.
I met my husband in Gainesville, and I had never known a geologist before. I had no idea what geology was. We had the good fortune to adopt our first son. He was a beautiful child, and at 2 years old, he said his first words, and they were a full sentence. He said, "Look at all those lights." And he's never stopped talking since. And then 2 years later, and I was going to Tulane University to get my master's degree, and lo and behold, I get pregnant. And so we got Billy. So they're 2 years apart.
Miss Marie, what have you been doing since you retired?
Getting into trouble. Volunteering for SHINE, was on the Governor's Commission for Nursing Home Excellence. So I got to travel all over the state of Florida, and I did that for a long time. I'm taking more and more classes at the Senior Center, which I love. And later I served on the foundation board, and then for a number of years I was on the Outreach Advisory Committee.
Miss Marie, what advice do you have for kids my age?
1, never turn down an opportunity. Learn everything you can learn. Life is so interesting. And
All right, never turn down an opportunity. So, Shepard, was that an inspiring interview for you?
Yes.
Yeah. What inspired you the most?
The part about the opportunities, I think,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
So, is she encouraging you to kind of go forward without fear? Just kind of go forward and explore new things?
Definitely.
All right. Very good. Well, I'll tell you what, she'd be a good example, right? For all of us, I think. So, Dr. Cower, thank you so much for all that you've done and continue to do, and for the inspiration that you are. So congratulations on the award tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Shepard. All right, very good. Never turning down an opportunity is exactly how she has approached her professional and personal life. She served on Leon County Senior Outreach Advisory Council with Susan Davis, formerly with the Tallahassee Senior Center. She says Dr. Cowart personifies active aging as shown by her zest for life and engaging presence with those around her. She is an inspiration. One thing is certain, Dr. Cowart is enjoying life after retirement. She stays active by volunteering on several committees at Westminster Oaks. She says, quote, "I never volunteer in isolation. It is always in teams. It's a joy to do things with people I will be living with for the rest of my life." And one thing I noticed in your bio too, you said from now on you are not becoming the chair of any of those committees. Is that right? A little too much responsibility, but she's still working on it. Getting into trouble with Marie this evening is her youngest son. Let's take a look at the table right there. Is her youngest son, Bill, her sweetheart, and also several great friends. So keep getting into good trouble, Dr. Cowart. All right. Good trouble. Usually for me, it's my wife that gets me into good trouble, you know. She's the one that says, "Why aren't you doing that?" You know, and then I'll go, "I don't know. You should be doing that." I said, "Okay, I'll volunteer," and then I get into trouble, like this tonight. All right. A little bit more to go, guys, and we will be through, and we will be just honoring all the people who should be honored tonight. And the next person on that list is Gloria J. Sanchez. All right, Gloria, where are you? There she is. There's Gloria. And she was interviewed by Lola Scavone. So Lola Scavone, there's Lola. Lola's got more energy than 6 of us put together. Come on up. You can come right up here. All right, very good. All right, born with a heart to serve others, Gloria Sanchez, the volunteer, has always had a passion to help people. Take a look.
Miss Gloria, what drives you to work so hard?
And it's a combination of things. My mom was a hard worker. All I ever remember her doing was working. She owned her own beauty salon. And I think I just followed after her. I'm like her in a lot of ways. I just feel like, you know, that I had to do well. And I would excel. When I started working for the state of Florida, within 2 years, I was promoted to a supervisor.
Miss Gloria, what was life like for you as a kid?
My mom, she would never leave us home by ourselves, so wherever they went, we had to go. And she and my stepfather loved to fish. So Thanksgiving time, we would be whining and whining. We didn't cry because we wanted to have turkey. And she'd say, "Tell your friends you had turkey. Your turkey just had fins on it." My mom's beauty salon was in Hallandale, and I went to elementary school in Hallandale. And when we came home, I would sit in the back of the shop, and I would be reading my Bible and talking to myself. And so her customers would say, you know, "Fanny, do you know Gloria back there talking to herself?" She said, "Yeah, it's okay as long as she don't answer herself."
What do you wish you did that you didn't get to do as a kid?
Play sports and learn how to dance. Because to this day, I still don't know how to dance. When I was in college, and I attended Florida A&M University, and when they would have these dances and the boys would ask me to dance, and I said, you know, I can't dance, but then I did know what back then they used to call it slow drag, and I don't know what they call it now. I could do that. You know, I managed to somehow or another to figure that out.
What is something you love doing other than working?
I love doing river cruising, and I've been on 3 of those. And I just love, you know, going out of the country, because when I was growing up working, I didn't have the money to afford to cruise. Now I do, so I try to go as much as I can. So I'll go anywhere. I mean, there's and just even not only cruising, but just visiting, you know, other states. I have made a list of all the states I've been to. I have 18 more to visit. And so that's one of my goals is to go to all of the states.
Tell me about your volunteer work.
Well, the first one that I'm most proud of is the volunteer with the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and it's the auxiliary, we were created in order to support the order. Those men and women who had received the Purple Heart, doing active duty. And so what we would do is do fundraisers in order to raise funds in order to provide things for veterans and their families. I volunteer with the AARP Tax Aid Program, and I've been volunteering, and it's here at the Tallahassee Senior Center, and this is my 11th year, and I have been the local coordinator for the past 7 years. The city is so gracious to allow us to use space, a room on the 3rd floor. They close it off, and we are very appreciative of that. I just enjoy serving and helping other people.
Miss Gloria, why is it important for seniors to keep active?
I feel it's important because you have to keep your mind stimulated. Because I do taxes for about 2.5 months, I'm busy. I don't have a whole lot of time to do anything, and I think just running around doing that I'm active. And then after taxes, I try to spend as much time as I can with my 6-year-old great-granddaughter. She comes here to stay with me during the summer, so I spend a lot of time with her, driving her around, keeping her involved in activities, and then that's when I travel.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can tell you two had a good time on that interview. Maybe before we're done, you can show me what the slow drag is. I don't know what that is. I don't know. That sounds like the way I would dance, it's like slow drag, Lola, let me talk with you just a second. What was your favorite part of interviewing her?
Getting to know her more.
Okay. What surprised you the most that you thought, I didn't know that this lady would be like that?
I would have to say probably how hard she works.
How hard she works? Tell you what, she really does work very hard, and especially during the tax season, volunteering up at the Senior Center so many years in a row. So you did a great job on your interview, and thank you so much for all that you do, and congratulations. All right. Thank you, guys. Well, Gloria's background in social work inspired her to be a volunteer. She says, "It's just who I am. I'll do anything to help someone in need and give them 110%. Her manager, Sheila Salyer, there at the Senior Center, says she's, quote, she's always amazed at how much Gloria remembers about every taxpayer's specific situation. So if you've been a little bit shady on your taxes, remember who remembers all that stuff." I'm kidding. I'm sure she doesn't discover anything like that. Anyway, she serves almost 800 people every year. She recalls each person that was served in previous years and treats each one as if their tax return is the most important form. In addition to volunteering with the AARP Tax Aid and Order of the Purple Heart Auxiliary, she also volunteered with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Okay, and that's in her spare time. She still manages a close relationship with her little sister and her daughter. Gloria's husband, Colonel Washington Sanchez, who was a Silver Star in 2021, is with her tonight. And there at the table right there, very good, is with her tonight, as is her daughter, LaTanya. Her granddaughters, Ashley and Sandra, right? And the apple of her eye, that's what it says right here, the apple of her eye, great-granddaughter, Daria. Is that right? Is that who's sitting in her lap right now? Daria? Sorry, Daria. Very good. And I tell you what, love to see the family there. Daria, we are happy you were here to honor your Gigi, right? Okay, very good. Yes, what is it? Yeah. Okay, sorry. I mispronounced all of that. But with the best of intentions. Anyway, congratulations to all of you guys right there. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, what's next? Last but not least, right? not least, Reverend Dr. R.B. Holmes Jr. All right. Woo! There he is, right there. Almost probably the tallest man in the room. And he is a preacher, an author, and a man who has dedicated his life in service to others. Let's find out what inspired him to seek to be a man of God.
Reverend Holmes, what did you like to do for fun whenever you were growing up?
When I was a little boy, probably 9, 10, I used to go to a place called Americus, Georgia, with my grandparents for the summer. And they had a farm. And in the back of the yard, they had roosters and chickens. And when the preacher preaches on Sunday morning, I memorize his sermon. And I go out there in the yard and be saying, say amen, chicken, say amen, rooster. Are you saved yet? Do you know the Lord? And then they'll talk back to me. And so I had a good time, and I go tell my grandma, 3 chickens joined the church this morning. And my grandma said, are you going to baptize them? I already baptized them. What? You put my chickens into water? Yes, ma'am. They now have those chickens have the Holy Ghost. In high school, I played sports, right? But my class voted me the most humorous. Now, my members at the church said, no, you're not that funny. But yeah, I was the most humorous guy in high school. And I wear that badge with a great honor.
Reverend Holmes, were you always a leader, even as a child?
Yes. I always was involved in the church as a little boy, teenage, all the way through. I was able to sing in the choir and usher, read the Sunday school lesson to my granddaddy. I worked in his store. He had a store in Georgia, and I used to work in his store. And we just had a great time, learn how to count, how to read, how to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please, may I help you? And one of the words we always said, my granddad said, something for you. So when people come in the store, it's something for you. And what they were doing, my parents and grandparents were teaching us manners, how to be polite, how to respect people, how to carry yourself with a sense of dignity and a sense of pride.
Reverend Holmes, what's the proudest moment in your life?
To have a beautiful family, beautiful grandchildren, it gives you a whole lot of life and joy, and you just hope that they can grow up and be extremely successful morally, spiritually, emotionally, educationally. And then to see my siblings highly successful, and then to know that I was blessed with beautiful parents and grandparents, and for them to see me graduate from high school, to graduate from college, to receive my doctorate, to pastor 2 beautiful churches, to have 3 beautiful children, a beautiful son-in-law, and beautiful grandchildren, it makes me extremely thankful and extremely proud.
What advice would you like to share with our community?
Try to let people know that we're fortunate to be in this country, to really try to heal our racial divide, and to keep at it, to try to talk about one nation under God. There's a space and a place for all of us, trying to unite people around one common cause, and that is to love one another. The last book that Dr. King wrote, Martin King Jr., was Where Do We Go From Here? And he called it Beloved Community. And that's what we are. We're always working towards that beloved community. We're always working on perfecting our union. We're not there yet.
What gets you excited every day?
There's what I call an anchor scripture, a life-changing scripture that says, this is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. So I'm glad and thankful to see another day. Not sad, but glad.
All right, guys, really love that interview. And the interviewer for this one was Ben Green, and this is Ben right here. Good job, buddy. Nice to meet you. And I couldn't help but notice y'all seem to have a special bond. Y'all became, I guess, good friends during this interview, right? Come on the microphone just a second, Ben. So, what did you enjoy most about talking with the Reverend?
Meeting him and learning about his childhood and all the funny stories.
What did you think about him preaching to the chickens?
That was hilarious.
It was hilarious, but it apparently was really good practice because now he has, 3,000 real human congregants, right, in his church. So that's great. Well, you did a really good job interviewing him. Thanks so much. And, all right, congratulations. All right, guys. All right, through his outreach with Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Tallahassee, he's established Bethel Christian Academy, Bethel Family Counseling Center, Bethel Towers for senior citizens, also the Frenchtown Financial Opportunity Center, just to name a few. So he has been busy. Here to help honor Pastor Holmes this evening are his beloved wife, Dr. Gloria P. Holmes. Okay, she's over there, and also the children, some friends, and many of his congregants there at the table. So, all right, very good. Let's give one more round of applause. One of the parishioners is Mary Johnson. She nominated her pastor for the award because, in her words, Pastor Holmes does whatever it takes to please God and to help the children of God as well as strangers in whatever way is needed. She says, "I'm so proud to be a member of Bethel Missionary Baptist Church." So, amen to that, guys. Very good. All right, guys, take a deep breath. We have made it to the very end of the program, and we've got a couple more quick things to do. Those are your 2024 Silver Stars that demonstrate that people can work. All right? People can work and contribute regardless of their age. People can contribute so much. It's not about how old we are, but that we stay active and have the desire to share our gifts with others. Before Tony comes back up, I want to challenge each of us to keep moving and do the things we love to do. All right, let's give our stars, all of them, a big round of applause and cheer ourselves tonight. All right, time to turn over this microphone to Tony once again to kind of polish this whole thing off, all right?
Art, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, man. Thank you. So one more hand for Art. So far, we've done pretty well, right? All right, in closing, here's a spoiler alert. Oh, some of you haven't been here before, so you don't know that I've been capturing things, and my papers are absolutely illegible. If you'll stand for just a few more minutes before we close, I'll give you my wrap-up. And you can look for the Silver Stars on WCOT, thanks to Tom Bronikowski, Gil Daspit, Bram Hagen, Damian Ryan, Karen Kiersky, and the entire City of Tallahassee communications team. Thank you so much for what you do. There isn't enough time to really give these folks sufficient thanks, so let's try to do that with at least enthusiasm. We need to thank and recognize the staff at the Tallahassee Senior Center and the foundation. If you're with the Tallahassee Senior Center or the foundation, please stand for a moment. Whether you're visiting the Senior Center or any of the 180 activities taking place monthly, you will feel the heart behind the team effort. And Sheila wants to share her appreciation for everyone who helped pull this together. They continue to exceed expectations, even if you question their choices in MCs sometimes. So that wasn't the funny part. What are you laughing at? Let's give them one more hand. And just a point of personal privilege, I want to give one big hand to Sheila Sawyer. You're very humble, but you deserve it for everything you do year-round. Congratulations again to the Silver Stars, and thank you, Capital Health Plan, for being this presenting sponsor again. Your commitment not only to this event, but your day-to-day activities makes a big difference. Don't forget your fans. That almost concludes our program. Almost. Okay, some of you have been here before. I really can't read my notes, so please be patient. Because we conclude one more night with silver stars in our sight. And Puff Daddy has shared their stories. The X-Files version, of course, with lessons about living life well, giving back, aging with grace and impact. And just another spoiler alert, apparently these stars are not slowing down, they're speeding up. They give 110% and are the stars we measure against. As I reflect on this crew, I note, as has been stated, that what you see may very well be what you get. A crew that makes us feel those big feels. A crew with extraordinary character, energy, faith, and grit. Some drinkers, some cookers, some cotton pickers, some lovers. Morally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and educationally active seniors with questionable social skills, apparently in college. There's no empty wagons here making noise. No one just sitting on green benches. We've got conservationists and counselors, pastors, pallbearers, paratroopers, and pioneers. Preservationists, philatists, and persuaders. I ran out of P words, so we're going to travelers and readers and rebellious ones, swimmers and soldiers and stunt pilots, deans and daughters of the American Revolution, hunters, gatherers, ballers, riflemen, riverboat queens, historians, gerontologists, tax prep pros, oh, there's some more P's, and ground support, grand dames, slow draggers, twirlers of tails. I'm afraid somebody's going to have to tell us what slow dragging is after we turn the cameras off. I want to know more every time you groan. Let me just tell you that. There's Opaloans here, Purple Hearters and Bronze Starrers, ushers of souls, healers, not dividers, leaders of men and women, and yayas too. Fish fryers, cookers, lovers, driveway drinkers, chicken preachers, fever fighters, and goldfish funeralists. Heck, you even got the mayor of Whataburger. These are trailblazers learning to be old persons. No real has-beens here, no matter what their clans say. This is a group that embodies the notion that fate only knows success. They come from good stock, descendants of fearless parents, folks that produced people. And Jack, that goes twice for you, obviously, so. People who reach out, make connections, because isolation is a distraction. Folks who talk to themselves, but generally don't answer back. Who assemble memorabilia, play marbles, fear rulers of nuns. I'll let that one sink in. So. With a brain full of explorer facts, who fish for tornadoes and land turkeys with fins. I mean, we've got some starched roommates. We've nursing joyful moments, spreading a virus of peace and prosperity, and homes and a space for all. Yes, there's Mr. You're in trouble, but as Dr. Cowart said, getting into good trouble really ain't that bad. And we've got Mr. Voted Most Humorous, and I have been to your service. I'm not sure that I would count you as the most funny person in the room, sir. But being playful is serious work after all. I see you all, and we hear you too. You've charged us to march on, dreaming, living, giving, hoping, playing, learning to dance, traveling, stimulating our minds, living for others, leaving fingerprints all over town. We will try to heed your advice. I don't know if you read some of the stuff that was in the book, but some of it stood out. Here's some advice that they gave. Keep your socks dry, watch out for mines, and generally don't be so stupid. Do well, excel, stretch, spend time with loved ones. Understand that life has its highs and its lows, but it's life nonetheless. These stars told us to expand on our interest, prepare to retire, see the world once, twice, or 23 times. Unite people, mentor, make dreams come true. Don't give things much thought, and never turn down opportunity. These stars say, keep at it. Do everything we have said we would do. Take care of the nurses, the faculty, the students, the friends. Take in stray kids, stray dogs, and chickens or eggs, if you're not a pet person. Live life with passion, no regrets, excited for each day, every day being the best. I've heard you say never give up, never regret. Learn all you can learn. Appreciate life, make the most of it. Life really is interesting after all. And we with you are truly highly favored and abundantly blessed. So let's reduce stress, laugh lots, make friends, stay socially active, engage, not wither. Wake up, stay up. We're not laid out in the chapel room yet, Rocky. Let's keep climbing those mountains. Raise money and hope with an eye to giving back. Stay aware of those around you, sensitive to the needs of those not so blessed. And we'll try to remember we are obligated, that's obligated to overcome fear and apply whatever skills we have for others. There is a space and a place for all of us, and we all know we don't want anything around us unless it contributes after all. Cheers to the Silver Stars, role models, non-ageist examples of great living. I leave here tonight with a few extra things in mind. Love one another, it takes togetherness, and the elderly know the path. Let's live life so that aging is a blessing, not a curse. Be part of that beloved community. Explore all that might be, because we are not alone, apparently. And aren't you anxious to find out what's out there too? Slow dragging and whatever noises they heard. It's been a great day, a great night, and tomorrow we'll fight on and live with the examples that we learned from these folks. I want to thank the Silver Stars, their families, their friends, the Senior Center, the Capitol Health Plan who supports us in all this, and all that made this night special. And I want to just say, finally and in remembrance, that this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Good night, safe travels. Thank you for being here.